Hi, and welcome to another special finished object review episode, I should say, of M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast. I'm Jamie, the dyer behind m1yarns.com, and you can find me everywhere on the internet, Ravelry, Instagram, Facebook at M1 Yarns. Today, like I mentioned, I have a finished object review, fresh off the needles. This is the Wild Posy by Mandarines, also known as Melody Hoffman. She is a French designer, and what's really cool about this pattern is that when you purchase it, you get two patterns in one. The two options are the Flora version, which is this one, which is more of the lacy version, meaning like this bit and this bit, or the Luna, which really in these areas just continues some of this texture that you see everywhere else. I decided to do the Flora as opposed to the Luna, but next time I will definitely do the Luna to kind of cover all my bases, so to speak. I really enjoyed this pullover, and so wanted to give you a few of the highlights and my thoughts in case you're thinking about making this pattern too. First off, the yarn that I used is Cece's wool, superfine alpaca. It's a DK weight, obviously undyed. Each skein had 660 yards. I held two strands together, and in the end, I want to say I made a size medium. I'm a 36-inch bust. So you can kind of get a feel for like how much ease I have. Let's see. People always do that, right? I don't know. I had 33 grams of yarn remaining. So, let's see. I don't know. If you want to do the math, have at it. Anyway, so I used up most of my yarn. I had a couple balls that were each, a tiny little handful, I suppose, remaining. I did lengthen the body a little bit. No, I didn't. No, I take that back. I knit the length to pattern, but I made a couple modifications. Number one, I omitted the short rows, which is the shaping in the back. You see this on a lot of yoke style pullover sweaters, and I've done it a few times. I did not find that for my body it added anything needed. It didn't, in fact, I didn't like the fit as much as when I omit it. So I just basically skipped over those rows and proceeded with the rest of the pattern. So that probably saved me a little bit of yarn, not a significant amount. And then I normally shorten my sleeves. I'm only 5'3", so my arms are probably a little bit shorter than average, but I did not. I knit the sleeves to pattern. You finish with this like wrapped stitch thing on the cuff, which is similar to the texture in the yoke. And the only thing I then did, wow, I've knit a hair into my fabric. Classic long hair problem. The pattern called for 4 inches of ribbing, and that just seemed like a lot, and I already knew I was at a length where I would be comfortable finishing. So I just did about 2 inches. I want to say it was like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds of ribbing, which might be a little bit less than 2 inches. I don't know. What else can I say about this? It was a joy. The yoke I knit up in probably 4 days. I could not put it down. The sleeves, each one knit up in a little over an evening. The pattern calls for a size 9 needle for the body, and I believe a 6 for the ribbing. And I did an 8 and a 5 because I'm a loose knitter. So I think that helped contribute to it going fairly quickly. And I'm trying to think of what else I need to tell you about this. Really, oh, so my one critique, if you've been watching the podcast for, you know, a little bit of time, you know that I have certain concerns regarding lace around the boobage area. And I had promised myself I wouldn't do lace in here anymore. This is fine. But after I knit the Love Note by Tin Can Knits, I just was like, I struggle to style my clothes when there is lace here. And so if I were to knit it again, I'm wearing a white tank under this, so this lace is not as noticeable. But if I were to knit it again, I probably would omit this lace section or do the texture element from the Luna version of the pattern, if that makes sense. Other than that, I love the yarn. I love Cece's wool. I love the pattern, and I hope to make more patterns by B. Mandarines, Melody Hoffman, in the future. And yeah, I love it. If you've never done this wrapped stitch technique, it's really easy. Don't be at all intimidated by this texture. This was fun, engaging enough to, you know, kind of keep you in the pattern, but not stressful. Nothing that you can't do by just simply reading the pattern directions and running with it. So 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for joining me for another special episode with a finished object review, and I'll see you next time on the podcast. If you have not subscribed yet, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you get alerts every time I drop a video, which is roughly about once a week or so. So I hope your yarn is keeping you happy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.